Hi, I'm Madonna. This is Shelby. We're going to do some work on how to find an accurate indicator muscle this morning. So firstly, what's an indicator muscle? It's something that you can use in the body to find an answer. That's all it is. So with kinesiology, there are several we use all the time. We use the anterior deltoid, which is at the front of the arm. Gets a bit ouchy when you massage it. We use skippy arm, but we won't be talking about that one yet because that's an advanced technique. And down the track, we'll also be mentioning this one. So when I first started, I could not get big muscle tests to happen. So my trainer at the time, Gordon Dixon, he suggested I use this one, which is exactly the same as skippy arm, except fully extended. So let's have a look at what you need. For a start, it's all about the angle and the intent of what you're about to do. So with an indicator muscle, you want to shorten the muscle, and then the test is to extend the muscle. So the anterior deltoid is at the front of the arm. So we're lifting the arm up to about 45-degree angle. The hand needs to be relaxed. And basically you're going to put about 2 pounds of pressure for 2 seconds for about 2 inches. That's the aim. So firstly, I'll just do it. So I'll just ask you to hold. So with very little force, that's holding easily. Now, imagine for a moment, now I want you to clench your fist, tighten your shoulder, and hold. Now that is going to be the equivalent to having someone who's not wanting to find an answer, not wanting to find a solution, someone who's looking at us thinking, oh, these little girls aren't going to be able to unlock my arms. So there's that sort of concept going on because an unlock is equated with weakness, which it's not. It's simply a connection between the muscle and the brain. All muscles, all day long, are switching on and off. So that's an important thing to realize. This is not about weakness. It's about how quickly a muscle communicates with the brain. So 2 pounds for 2 seconds for 2 inches. So once again, relax the hand, relax the shoulder, and hold. Now what I'm going to do is something called a spindle cell. In the belly of the muscle, there are spindle cells. Spindle cells hold energy about how tight or how relaxed a muscle should be. So basically, if we can fuse the spindle cells, then we've got up to 2 seconds. We don't have a long time, but we've got up to 2 seconds in order to retest and see if it unlocks. If it's after 2 seconds, the body will simply reset itself. Now down the track we'll be doing stuff like stacking and things like that, but at the moment it's just about an indicator muscle. So once again, hold. Now what I'm going to do is, it's called push to mush into the belly of the muscle. So the little anterior deltoid is in here, so I'm going to go push to mush. I'm literally pushing into the belly of the muscle. And then within 2 seconds, hold, it unlocks. You can feel the difference? Okay, now if I wait a few seconds, it will actually reset itself. Hold, because things reset themselves all the time in the body. Once again, if we stacked it in, that would be a different thing, but for the moment. So does that make sense? 2 seconds, 2 pounds. 2 pounds is a hard one. It's basically, some people, by the way, are very testable. Energetically, they know when something's going on, and you can just about put their arm up and their arm will just flop. Everyone is different. And the only way to become a good person who muscle tests is to test on lots of different people, because everyone feels different. So I've got a client on Saturday, for example, and she's recently had elbow surgery. So with her, and she's been coming to me for 12, 15 years, a long, long time. Yeah, it's got to be 15 years. And she kept saying, even though she's had so much kinesiology in the past before, she kept saying, I won't be able to hold that arm. She could feel it when the arm felt weak, and she knew that it was going to unlock. Now, that's interesting to me because it did keep locking after we were doing corrections, but her brain didn't reset throughout the entire session that, oh, okay, sometimes it's locking. But the interesting thing was, when she could feel it was very weak is when we were actually testing something that was quite detrimental to her body, like anesthetics or the medications she'd had to take afterwards, or I think with her it was pollens and dusts. So, whatever it was in there and it was creating issues. So That's now any muscle, but the good thing about the anterior deltoid is that it can be used lying down, you can use it standing up, you can do an anterior deltoid muscle test at any stage. Now, what I'm going to do, this is an advanced technique and it's not part of the training within this module, but I just want to show you what happens when we stack in and unlock. So, firstly, we'll make sure this side's working. Hold up for me. Good. Now I'm going to stack in and unlock. Now, I've basically stacked in both sides. Hold for me. And hold for me. So both sides are unlocking. Now, what I've done is stored the information in my spindle cells of the unlock in Shelby's body, which means while I've got that storage in my hip flexors, hold, it's going to keep unlocking until the cows come home, which is really, that's what. Now, yes, that's a party trick, but what it means is that we can store energy. If someone starts pouring out their heart to you about a situation that is causing them stress and you feel like that is impacting on the way their body is functioning, you can store that information. So then your balance becomes much more about, it becomes much bigger, which means you can help them to heal at a much deeper level, which is one of the things I love about kinesiology. Once again, my feet are still apart, which means I've still got the stack in and they're still unlocking. So now what I want to do is show the correction for that. So basically, I've still got it stacked in, but I'm going to do lengthen to strengthen. So basically, muscles will unlock with push to mush. They will get stronger if you do lengthen to strengthen. So I'm going to do that on both sides. And hold. And now we've got a lock again. So that's basically created a change within the spindle cells of the muscle, and now they're working. So that just tells me that both anterior deltoids are working really well at the moment. Any questions so far?
No.
Right, so now we can use those indicator muscles to find pre-checks. So when we start with kinesiology, it's always a good idea to make sure the neurology in the person you're working on and yourself is actually working well. So for a start, let's make sure the Central Meridian is up and running. So the Central Meridian runs from the pubic bone to the chin. So basically, meridians are sort of just inside the body as well as outside the body. So there's several ways you can do it. The way that I like is above the body. People can run meridians on the body. It's not my preferred, because many of them go in areas we don't want people, tickling and, it's just inappropriate. So for me, I'll show you this. So once again, the meridian runs from the pubic bone to the chin. So I'm just going to do that 3 times. And then I'm going to check the indicator muscle. And hold. Beautiful. Now I'm going to run it 3 times backwards. And then I'm going to recheck the indicator muscle again. And hold. And once again, you need to do it within 2 seconds, otherwise it will reset itself. So that was an unlock, which means we ran the meridian backwards. So there's less energy in there. And now we run it forward again. I tend to think 3 times. I've just got this magic 3 in my head. There's no reason. I just like it. And hold. So if someone actually has an unlock in the wrong direction, it's a bit of a sign something within that central meridian is blocked.
So you want it to unlock if it's going down?
Yes, yes, you want it to unlock going down and you want it to lock coming up. Now that meridian is the central meridian. It feeds the conscious brain. So it's a really powerful meridian. Now lots of things, of course, cause an unlock in the meridian. So stress, for example. So I'll just get you to think about something stressful. Okay? Now I'm going to run it upwards. Now, okay, so I'm going to use stacking again for a moment just for the purpose of demonstration. So just think about something stressful, and I'm going to see if one sweep of the central meridian is enough. Hold. It's pretty good, but just not quite there. So, and that's because we've just done a little bit of work. So with that stress, just for a moment, think about if that stress continued for a week and you felt like that for an entire week, how that would feel. Oh gosh, I can almost see it. Okay, don't do it for too long. And hold. Yeah. So now let's see Once again, thinking of that stress for me, and hold, and thinking of that stress continuing for an entire week, and hold. So it's something that if we can do this ourselves anytime, run our Central Meridian. Now, you don't need to do the flick of the energy. I just do it because I was taught that 23 years ago, so it's a bit of a habit. But what I sort of think of it is, if we have energy that's locked into our meridians, our aura, our chakras, any of our energy spheres, all of which we'll get to over a period of modules. But if there's anything gunky stuck in there, you don't want to keep it in your energy field. So, I know it's energetically and it's a little bit weird, but I like to give it a flick. It's like, no, I want this out of my circuitry. Because why would you want it in there? It's pretty easy. So that's one thing. So stress can shut it down. Another thing is really dodgy smells. So what I did, I actually went and grabbed a Nico marker. Oh. Sorry. So I'll just get you to have a smell. Yeah, and hold, and that is unlocking the body. So imagine all the smells we have all day, every day, which can be unlocking our energy. So that's a biochemical unlock. So once again, I don't want to do it too often. You don't want to do that because it's toxic. But basically, any strong smell can be affecting our meridian as well, which is pretty powerful. There's another little doodad I'm going to do, once again making sure the meridians are still up and running. And I'm going to give a little tug on your hair, okay? And hold. Have you had enough water this morning?
No.
No, we need some water. So there are little receptors in underneath the hair. It's sort of like, when you sort of pull on your skin and the skin should bounce back nice and easily. A quick way to check if the body's hydrated is by just giving a little gentle pull and seeing if the energy unlocks. And if it locks, would you like a little bit of water?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Now, funnily enough, certainly here in Australia, I'm not sure what it's like elsewhere in the world, we cannot prescribe to have a glass of water. So you say, would you like a glass of water? I know, it's one of those crazy things, isn't it? So now let's see if we've had a shift there. So once again, before I recheck it, I'm just going to make sure the indicator muscles are locking again. Hold. Because what if water had actually caused an unlock for some reason? Just say there had been some weird thing where the body goes, no, don't give me water. So just good to always double check. So just a little tug on the hair and hold. Beautiful. So it's the receptors on the inside of the mouth, actually, because there was a story that Dr. Charles Krebs tells. He's my guru in the LEAP, the learning enhancement field. And he tells this story about when he first started learning Touch for Health, like 40 years ago. They used to do that particular test, and he was working on a guy in a wheelchair. And the man in the wheelchair had a feeding tube. So therefore, when they were giving the water, they just kept giving water and water and water and kept doing the little tug, and it kept unlocking, and they could not get a lock. So what they ended up doing was getting the guy to swish the inside of his mouth with water, and all of a sudden it locked. So it's almost like there must be something that's on the inside of the mouth. They don't know what they are, but there must be receptors for water on the inside of the mouth that tell the brain, okay, now we're okay. So it seems to make a difference. So if we're tube feeding, give a swish as well. So that's the hydration. Now we're going to go into something called left-right brain switching and front-back brain switching and top-bottom brain switching. So firstly, left-right. This one can be dangerous. I've had one child in 15 years who, when I clicked on one side of the body, they heard it from the opposite side. Or if you clicked on that side, they heard it from the opposite. Can you imagine what that does? Imagine if you are crossing a busy street. You're looking for traffic. Imagine if a dog is barking and running towards you and you're looking in the opposite direction. So if we've got left, right, and that's a big example, but I have had that one person. So it does happen occasionally. So with left, right switching, it means that the left and right sides of the brain are getting confused. And the problem is there that we might be trying to do some things logically that should be creative or back to front, or the opposite, which means that the brain is going to spend more time doing normal everyday jobs. So the way we test this, for a start, I'll need your hand on your navel. Once again, I'll just make sure this isn't causing any stress. Hold. And now I'm going to just touch, they're called the kidney 27 points. They're just in underneath the collarbones on each side. So I'm going to touch that and then check the indicator. Hold. That's perfect. Now, here comes a little fun part. I can use your indicator muscle to check myself. I know. So because you and I are a circuit, everything that I'm doing, because we're human beings and electrically we're connected, if you hold yours there and I hold my kidney 27s, hold up for me. Good. So that means mine isn't unlocking as well. Now, if it did unlock, so just relax your arm. So if it did unlock, what we would do is just hold the hand over the navel and rub the kidney 27s, usually for anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds. Are they tender at all?
Usually.
Usually. So it just, and I always swap hands as well. So if you're doing it on yourself, you simply, do one side and then you do the other side. And once again, it's that sort of thing, you can do it all day, every day. But just say you're worried about driving, because when cars are coming to you from a certain direction, it sort of stresses you out. This is the sort of thing that can help you when you're driving. So that's left-right switching. With children, quite often if they are getting, if their maths is a challenge or their English is a challenge, sometimes there'll be a disconnect between the left and right hemispheres of the brain. So it'll be harder to do maths or English or something when there's this imbalance. It's called switching because there's electrical circuitry in the brain that all day long is pinging and trying to reset itself into normality. But we're asking so much of kids these days that their poor little brains just aren't keeping up a lot of the time. And then you add in environmental toxins and dietary challenges and just about everything going on these days. It's not so easy. Now with the next switching point, so that's left-right switching. So the next one, we keep the hand there again, and I'll get you to touch your tailbone for me. And okay? And now, this time I'm going to stack it in and hold up for me. Yeah. So this one as well as this one's actually showing up. So the front and back of your brain are a bit disconnected. So just hold. It could be me, actually. So I'm going to touch my tailbone and hold. Mine isn't 100% either. Yours is a little bit worse. So we'll both do that one. So hand on the navel, and I'll get you to rub your tailbone once again for 10 to 15 seconds. And the other side. Swapping hands just gets the other hemisphere of the brain involved. And swap back again. So that's front-back switching, which means the front and back of the brain aren't communicating as well as they should. So, yeah, is that the navel? Beautiful. And hold. Lovely lock for me. And I will just touch the tailbone and hold. Beautiful. So the next one, once again, hand on the, and I'll get you to put two of either hemisphere. Not sure how to do this without stacking. I think stacking's really going to need to be the next module. Okay, so basically then I'm going to stack that in. So once again, do that for me, and I'm stacking it in. And now, hold up for me. That's pretty good. And now let's check me. So I'm going to stack it in. Sorry. And hold. No, so we're both fine there. But once again, if that unlocked, you would rub top and bottom of the lips. So the one on the above the lip is the end of the governing meridian. The governing meridian governs the spine and the rear of the brain, all the survival stuff. And and this one is the end of the central meridian. So basically you give both of those a rub. Once again, 10 to 15 seconds until they lock. So there's some core switching points. We of course do the central zip up, zip down, and we do hydration. So those are the core switching points. Now, everyone always wants shortcuts. I love a good shortcut, but I also like information. So there's another way of checking switching, and it's 5 fingers over the heart. So the heart is of course on the left side of the body. So you can just gently put your fingers over the heart and hold. And if that unlocks, then what we do is tap anti-clockwise over the heart. But that doesn't give you the information of whether it's top-bottom switching, left-right switching, or front-back switching. Now, the more you get into kinesiology, the more that information is actually, it gives you more tools and more directions with where to go with your treatments. But yeah, so if that actually unlocks, once again, just relax your arm. So if that unlocks, we would do tapping anti-clockwise over the heart. So I really quite love that as a quick little one. I think I learned that in a heart healing course about 10, 12 years ago, and it's just a great little check that I do. I do it regularly throughout my balances, so it just becomes quite automatically for me just to go in there and check it, because I know if that's out, then I will check whether it's front, back, left, right, or top, bottom. So it's just a quick, easy little way of getting in there and working things out. So the keys to an accurate indicator muscle, you need to know whether a lock is locking and unlocking. If it's not unlocking correctly, it's not an accurate indicator muscle. All muscles can be in first stage stress, second stage stress, and third stage stress. A first stage stress, once again, I just want you to relax. A first stage stress is an unlock that we do some lengthen to strengthen, and it locks again. So there's an unlock, but it doesn't take too much work to actually get it up and running. What happens when we start doing kinesiology is that we often get people in second stage stress because we don't really know the outcome we're after yet because we're not experienced. The person we're working on, they really don't understand the process. So second stage stress is both people sort of running on adrenaline, and it's like a muscle monitor where there's an overlock, and sometimes you miss it as a new practitioner because you just feel it as a lock. So what that ends up looking like is if you've got, so once again, I just want you, for the purpose of demonstration, I want you to tighten your shoulder and tighten your wrist again. So it will look like a lock, and if you do the push to mush, hold, it doesn't unlock. That's what it looks like, even though you wouldn't be deliberately making your shoulder and your hand. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah.
So, and I sort of think of the first stage stress as a little bit of stress. You know, it's unlocking, doesn't take too much to get it back up and running. The second stage stress, it's like we're running on adrenaline. There's adrenaline there, there's adrenaline here, we're both stressed about learning or trying something new, so the body's going, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. And the poor little body, it's got no choice but to simply act the way that it acts. But the more you do more muscle tests, the more you'll start to feel. You'll start to feel when a muscle is over. It's called over facilitation. And then there's other tricks you can do. So once again, down the track. For example, if you have someone, once again, I just get you to really tighten it. If you've got someone who's really, really tightens, you can do several things. You can run the Central Meridian backwards, you know, even 10 times or something like that, and see, once again, just relax, see if it unlocks. So if it doesn't, it just means it's really hyper facilitated. It's really working its tush off. So, but down the track we will get into what do you do if it doesn't work? Because there will be cases that, once again, you can recheck hydration, you can recheck switching. If you can't muscle test the switching, just get them to do it and you do it yourself so that you know they're not switching, you're not switching. So you can go through those little processes. You can both have some water. You can ask them if they would like to have some water. So there's all sorts of bits and pieces there that you can do. And then third stage stress, so first stage stress, little unlock, doesn't take too much to lock it. Second stage stress is locking, doesn't matter what you do, you don't seem to be able to get it to unlock. And then third stage stress is like chronic fatigue of the muscle. It's when it unlocks and you try everything in your box of tools and it just stays unlocked. So that's a chronic fatigue of a muscle test. And quite often, when that happens, once again, this is down the track, more advanced, but that's when I go to skippy arm, because skippy arm always works for me regardless of what's going on in the body. So, but the more muscle tests you have up your sleeve to test, and that's where we're going to get with this. There are 48 muscles that I'll be teaching over the modules that you can use at any stage for different things. So, first stage stress, second stage stress, third stage stress, basic switching, hydration, central zip up, zip down. We showed the chemical stress and the emotional stress. Anything I missed?
I think so.
Yeah, so that's our first little demo. I think the next one's going to be stacking. Okay, talk soon.